Welcome to the Sports Council.
There is no body type. There is no orientation or anything. It's anybody can go out there and fish. Last year, the colleges gave out $3.3 million in scholarships just for fishing.
The council is now in session.
With a personality shaped by being an athlete and a background in mainstream sports media, I found that the stories I was most interested in telling were the ones often overlooked, the ones that might not otherwise be told, the ones that show the intangible and not just the highlight reel. The Sports Council is about highlighting the great, the good, the unique, and everything in between in the Pacific Northwest sports world. I'm Jamie Council. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
My name is Tony Steiner, and I am the Washington State Bass Federation president.
So tell me, who is or what is the Washington State Bass Federation?
So the Washington State Bass Federation is a chapter of the TBF, and the TBF stands for the Bass Federation, which is a national organization. So we are the Washington State chapter of that national organization.
And what exactly do you guys do besides a lot of fishing, I'm guessing?
We do have our fair amount of fishing, since that's our main objective is fishing. But no, we're also in a little bit of the conservation world. So we try to have some conservation projects that we do around the state. We're also at times through the years have been in the political arena. So whenever there is a legislation or something against the warm water fisheries, we'll get a group together and go to the Capitol and stand up against that. And we're pretty much just about supporting the warm water species and the fishermen within the state of Washington.
So you guys have some, I guess, on both sides of the recreation, but a very realistic view behind that when it comes to the conservation piece of it. And how did the Washington State Bass Federation start?
So it started, so as far back as I remember, I believe it started back in the 70s. There was groups of clubs around the state, and they needed to be organized in some fashion. So the federation was formed at that time to kind of govern what happens with the bass clubs, because there really weren't any laws or permitting or anything regulating the sport back in the 70s and early 80s. So the federation got involved to put some of that regulation together, and they worked real closely with the Washington State Game Department. And they have since built some regulations in that we follow today.
So let's get to some of the fun things now. You guys have some tournaments going on. Tell me, what do you guys have going on that fishermen from around the state are involved in?
Okay, well, I think our biggest excitement, as you can see behind here, this is one of our prizes we give away. We give away 2 of these every year. It's a $10,000 check. So we have 2 big fish tournaments. So one fish is going to take this check home. And we're going to do one at Lake Washington on April 6th. And we're going to do one on Moses Lake in August 3rd, I believe it is the date. So yeah, so those are kind of the big fun things that we do. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to build some champions in the state. So we're the only organization that sends people to a national tournament. So you're going to be a Washington State champion, where we have a circuit that we put together that at the end of the year, we will crown a Washington State champion as a boater and a co-angler. And we send those 2 as a team off to a national tournament, which currently the national tournament is going on in San Rayburn, Texas. So kind of the fun part about it is that we're actually paying these people to go down there. So we've come up with a budget within our organization by putting on these bigger tournaments that we're able to raise some money throughout the year. And we're actually treating these two people like champions. Years past, when people would win our state championship, it'd be like, okay, here you go, you're off to the nationals and you're on your own. And I didn't feel that was right when I took over, and I wanted to make sure that we had as much recognition for these guys. I want everybody, when you win something, I want you to feel like you won something. And so, that's really something that we've really brought into the TBF, is that we're treating people every single tournament. Really can't see these pictures up here too well, but these are some of our tournament champions that we put on in our tournaments, and we're shooting off confetti cannons, and they're holding up these big poster boards. And these guys will remember these days for the rest of their lives. It's fun. It's fun to be a part of.
You have more than just the big jackpots, the Big Bass Team Opens. You have multiple tournaments throughout the year. Who's able to compete in these tournaments?
Okay, so to join TBF, you have to be able to join a TBF club. So we have 9 different clubs throughout the state, and I believe we're gaining one more this year. So we're going to have 10 different clubs throughout the state. So you join one of your local bass clubs, your TBF affiliated bass club, and you pay your dues. So then you're a TBF affiliated member. So then after that, we have our TBF circuit. So we have 10 tournaments that we're putting on throughout the year, and these are all hosted by different clubs. They're open, and they're open to the public, so anybody can fish them. But if you're a TBF member and you're fishing that, then you're gaining points toward the national semifinals, is where we're going to crown our state champion. So that is an invitation only to get into the national semifinals. So you got to qualify to get into that. And so through these 10 tournament open series that are put on, we've got 5 tournaments on the west side, 5 tournaments on the east side. And you only have to fish 3 of those to qualify for the national semifinals. So you fish the 3, you qualify, you go into the national semifinals, and if you're the top placing at the national semifinals, then you're a state champion. You go on to the national tournament. So that's how our state works, and how becoming a member, anybody can be a member. You just have to join a club and be part of it. And with all of our discount programs that we have going, you'll get your money back plus just by being a member.
And join the larger community on a bigger scale. And I believe when we had talked earlier, you mentioned that you have some youth programs as well that help develop the sport at the high school level.
Correct. Yeah. So this is what we're most excited about. Man, the high school program is absolutely blowing up, and it is. And we kind of had a feeling that it was going to, because we've seen what it's been doing nationwide, and we wanted to bring that to the state. So once I heard what the programs were and that they were giving away scholarships to high school kids, I was like, how do we get our kids involved? So I contacted our youth director, and at the time, 2 years ago, when I got together with my youth director, we had 3 teams in Washington State that were competing at the state championship to go on to the nationals. Well, we decided that we want to grow this a little bigger, so we've been promoting it and putting it out there. And last year we had 9 teams at our state championship. And so far this year signed up, we've got 21 teams, and we've only been on the west side of the mountains. We haven't even touched the east side of the mountains yet. So we plan on getting to the east side of the mountains and getting our information out there and promoting this, and try to get some more teams. We have 1 team that's based out of Moses Lake, and that's all we have for representing the east side of the mountains. But we have 4 different bass clubs that are on the east side, adult clubs. So I'm kind of pinging those guys to push the areas, and let's get some more involvement from the east side, because I believe we can get at least another 15 to 20 teams out of the east side as well. And what those kids are competing for, so 2 years ago, our state champion went on to the national championship. They didn't win the national championship, but you're in front of college scouts there. And both of those champions were able to get scholarships to Simpson University in California for, I believe, $46,000 each. So those 2 kids, just for going to that national tournament and being there in front of them and impressing those scouts, both got scholarships. So our state champions from last year will be going to the national tournament in June this year, and we've been coaching them up and educating them as best we can, so that when they get in front of the college scouts, it's basically a job interview. So that's the biggest thing about our high schools. We want to make sure that those opportunities are there for the students that want to be a part of that.
That's one thing that I have loved learning over the past few years, where everybody, when you think of scholarships, you usually think, in the sports world, oh, football, basketball. But I remember talking to the bowling coach saying that there's college teams, girls wrestling, sports that you don't think of, such as bass fishing, that there is so much scholarship money that it's really a misconception of thinking that you have to go for these big sports in order to find success. And it actually is the opposite. If you find your niche, whether that be bass fishing, and you really are wanting to be a part of it, there are so many opportunities out there.
Correct. And, bass fishing is something that's not just, there is no body type. There is no orientation or anything. It's anybody can go out there and fish. Last year, the colleges gave out $3.3 million in scholarships at the national tournament just for fishing. And we had, I believe from Oregon, we had one of the ladies from Oregon, a lady student went there, and I believe she got a scholarship to Simpson University as well. So it's the ladies are out there. They're just as good and competitive as the guys are. So it's fun watching them. And I believe we might have a couple of them this year in our state as well. So, it's not just for the guys. This is fishing, and anybody can hold a fishing pole and catch a fish. And those scholarships are out there. And if this is what you want to do and you want to be a part of it, and where those scholarships take you, it can be anything. It's wide open, but just getting your foot in the door and being part of that. We want to make sure that opportunity is there, and we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that that's available for them.
That's amazing. I look forward to seeing how it grows, especially at the youth level on this side of the Cascades, where there's not that much. And speaking of those tournaments that you do have going on at the adult level, some of them, like you said, 5 on that side, 5 on the east side, including in the Tri-Cities. That's where the national semifinals are on September 28th and 29th. But coming up June 15th, you're in the Tri-Cities at Clover Island. So how do these tournaments work, where I understand you have to compete in 3 of them in order to try to enter the semifinals? But how do the tournaments work?
Okay, so that is a very unique tournament, and it's something that I don't believe anybody else is doing. And what it is this is the high school students are putting on this tournament for the adults. It's an open tournament, so anybody can join in. It's open to the public. But if you are a TBF member and you join, your final standing in that tournament will have a point system based on your final standing. So the highest placing TBF person in that tournament will receive 100 points, the second place 99, and so on as we go down. But it's very unique that the high school students are putting it on. We've already had meetings. They already planned when, where, how. They came up with the rules. So they're doing absolutely everything on these tournaments. And that's another thing that we're coaching these high school students on, is that I want them to learn the fishing world from the other side. I don't want them to just be fishermen and go out there and fish. I taught them how to go on the game department and figure out how to put in a permit, how to use the game departments in our permit system. I made them go on the Washington State Law Legislation Department, and we actually read through the WAC so they understand what the WAC is and why we have tournaments and how it's written and all of that. So these kids students are very well educated on the tournament scene from the other side. So now they know how to put on a tournament, and they know it inside and out. So again, that's another thing that we're doing. We're educating and coaching our high school students that when they get up into the higher ranks and they get onto these national tournaments, that they can impress the college scouts that they're not just fishermen, they're well-educated people, and they're really serious about the sport that they're in.
That is amazing. I love the opportunities. And I think being in the news industry, I learned really quickly just how big these fishing tournaments are. So some background for you, Tony. I started my career in North Dakota, and my very first big story meaning I was solo of not working, running cameras or running graphics. When I started actually reporting out in the field, I drove up to Lake Metagoshi near Botno, North Dakota during winter where it was negative 15 degrees, covering a bluegill ice fishing tournament. So that was my very first story of being in the news, of having a story. And I was still in college then. And it was really fun because I was talking to these professional fishermen, learning about the different techniques where some would just have their hut and some did a run and gun technique, and just how much went into it. And it was really fun to learn, as well as me learning and then putting the story together, just how much outreach I got back of thank you for covering this. I mean, there's so many people in Washington state, but also around the country that are involved in these fishing tournaments, including bass fishing tournaments.
Hey, if you have hard water, then you need Soft Water Specialists. With their new Symphony system, you'll get great tasting, healthier water that will leave your clothing softer and brighter, your dishes cleaner, and it will extend the life of your appliances. With more than 30 years combined experience treating residential and commercial hard water problems, Soft Water Specialists offers peace of mind. To transform your water from H2O no to H2O yeah, call Soft Water Specialists for a free consultation or visit mysoftwater.com today.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
Have Christine Connolly help you achieve your housing goals and be your genie in a bottle.
As you wish. Buying or selling a home is a huge decision. You need someone that you trust and trust that they know what they're doing. As a second-generation realtor, I know how to anticipate the needs of my clients, and I make sure I'm up to date on the latest real estate trends in the Valley, along with buying programs that clients can take advantage of. I go above and beyond for all of my clients.
Contact Christine Connolly online or on Facebook at As You Wish Houses.
Part of Coldwell Banker Tomlinson.
You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
So tell me, how did you get involved?
Okay, so my background is my father got into the bass fishing industry or the tournament scene back in the 80s, early 80s, about 81. And I was just 10, 11 years old at that time. And he would drag me along fishing with him. I loved it. I was like, Dad, let's go fishing. Let's go fishing. It was my passion. I always wanted to go, and I was always there with him. And it was always a family thing. It was me, my mom, my sister, my dad, and, the four of us would pack up in the boat, and, we'd head out and go to potholes, or we'd go to Banks Lake. And, so I just absolutely loved it, and I grew up through it. And then, once I got older and got married and had kids, my kids did the same thing. They were always in the boat with me. My daughter was a year old, and I put her in the boat, and away we go. And so my kids were raised in the boat, and they've enjoyed it. And and I wasn't the greatest tournament fisherman myself. We get to the state level, and I was pretty much just donating my money to the people that were good. But they didn't mind that. But, I had a lot of great experiences in the tournament world, and that, there's a lot of great relationships out there. There's some amazing people that are in the industry. And so that's kind of my background. How I got into the presidency of the Federation is that, I've had this passion for how the industry, the tournaments run, and I saw and the Federation had kind of dwindled the last few years. We didn't have a whole lot of support. We had one person that's very passionate about it. He's now our vice president, Des Ruffin. He was our president for about 5 years, and nobody was helping him. And the Federation was really going downhill and losing support and interest. And so I finally stepped up and I said, Des, I finally got the time within my job. I can put some time in and help you. Um, if you need me to take over, I'll do it. And so he's like, yeah, you take over the presidency and I'll step back and be your vice president and I'll coach you till you get up to speed and know what you're doing. And he's just been a great asset to have with me. He's very personable. Anytime I need a break on the microphone, I can give it to him, and man, he can just talk. He is a talker. Yeah, but that's how I got into it, and I've just kind of ran with it since I've got here. And I have a full set of board members. That was the whole key to getting this going, is that I had to have help. I wasn't going to do it alone, and I wanted to make sure that we did this right. So we've got a full set of board members. We've got a secretary, treasurer. We put all of that together. We went back through our bylaws and rewrote our bylaws. We got new bank accounts. We've got new numbers through the IRS. We rebuilt the entire organization from the ground up. And so now we are a fully functioning organization, nonprofit. We've got our paperwork in for our nonprofit now. So yeah, we're a fully functioning organization now, and we're giving away $10,000 checks, and man, it's just exciting. It's fun being a part of it, and it's just fun watching it grow. Back to what I remember of the heyday of it, back in the 80s and 90s, when the Federation was the only organization out there. And so everybody that's been a part of bass fishing was a part of the Federation at one time. And now there's so many different organizations that are out there. Everybody can kind of pick and choose where they want to go. And so we're trying to make sure that we offer a very solid and entertaining organization that people want to be a part of. It's not, you just have to be, that's the only organization out there and you have to be part of it. I want people that want to be part of this.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
Hey, if you have hard water, then you need soft water specialists. With their new Symphony system, you'll get great tasting, healthier water that will leave your clothing softer and brighter, your dishes cleaner, and it will extend the life of your appliances. With more than 30 years combined experience treating residential and commercial hard water problems, Soft Water Specialists offers peace of mind. To transform your water from H2O no to H2O yeah, call Soft Water Specialists for a free consultation or visit mysoftwater.com today.
Have Christine Connolly help you achieve your housing goals and be your genie in a bottle.
As you wish. Buying or selling a home is a huge decision. You need someone that you trust and trust that they know what they're doing. As a second-generation realtor, I know how to anticipate the needs of my clients, and I make sure I'm up to date on the latest real estate trends in the Valley, along with buying programs that clients can take advantage of. I go above and beyond for all of my clients.
Contact Christine Connolly online or on Facebook at As You Wish Houses.
Part of Coldwell Banker Tomlinson.
You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
And you guys have 10 tournaments, and it's more geared towards, fair weather fishermen when you take a look at the dates. But you also had your first tournament, the Freeze Your Bass Blast, in February. How did that go?
Oh man, that was a overwhelming success. So the thing that we're doing with the 10 tournaments, this is something that hasn't been tried anywhere, of using open tournaments for qualifiers. So I talked to the national president and I asked him, I had the idea of doing this, and he's like, well, it's never been done. Just make sure you got your ducks in a row and everything is all up for it. So we came up with a plan, we wrote the rules, and we decided to go with this 10 tournament open thing. And our first tournament, the reason why we're doing the 10 tournaments is that we're trying to pull TBF members from all over the state to make these opens bigger than what they normally are, because this is how these different organizations raise money for their clubs and their communities. And some of them are charities that they're doing these events for. And so we're trying to raise more money with that. So by bringing it into this 10 tournament circuit, we're bringing more people into it, making bigger profits for them for whatever they're using the money for. So yeah, our first tournament was a overwhelming success. Last year we had 23 boats at this tournament. We had 50 this year.
Wow.
So we more than doubled our size. And yeah, it was a great tournament, great turnout. We had a lot of fun. The weather was actually pretty good for that tournament. You know, when you're talking February tournament, it can be anything. Last year we had, I think, 19 degrees at the beginning of the tournament, and it was frozen. It was cold. It was really the freeze your bass tournament last year. So yeah, we could have anything during those wintertime tournaments.
And your next tournament is April 6th on Lake Washington, and that's one of the $10,000 Big Bass Team Opens. How can people learn about these tournaments? How can they get signed up and get involved with the Washington State Bass Federation?
Okay, so yeah, that April 6th tournament, that's our first one hosted by the State Federation, and our main sponsor, Spokane Valley Marine. We're co-hosting putting that on. And to be able to get to it, you have to go to our website. That's wabass.org. It's right here on the sign too behind me, if you can see it. Wabass.org is our website. And there's right on the front page, it has a $10,000 logo right there. You click on it, takes you right to the registration page. We also have a Facebook page, so it's Washington State Bass Federation. Go into our Facebook page, follow us there. We're always putting out information about what we're doing. We are very active on that page. Our website is more for solid information that doesn't change throughout the year. We update it through our pictures. So we have our three main categories that we cover on our website, which is our state jamboree, which we'll talk about here in a minute, our qualifying tournaments, and then our high school tournament. So those are our three main sections that we cover through our website. And there's information on all of that. Just click through the tabs and you'll be able to see that. Again, wabass.org is where that is. And that's where you can find us on the website. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram.
And what is this jamboree that you're talking about?
Okay, so the state jamboree. So this is a very unique tournament. There's nothing like it anywhere else in the United States. And what it is it's a open tournament for all the bass clubs within the state of Washington to compete against each other. It's a family-oriented event. So we have youth divisions, we have a ladies division, we have adult individuals. We also have club versus club. So we have so many different categories that we've got trophies all over the place for everything that we're doing. It's very exciting. We have a casting contest that we do for the youth and the adults. We have a barbecue feed that we put on. Spokane Valley Marine comes in and they do a breakfast feed for us one morning. We also have a huge raffle, one of the biggest raffles we have in the state. We put on there. It's hosted at Cooley Playland on the shores of Banks Lake, north end of Banks Lake. We've been doing it for over, I think this is the 53rd annual this year that we've been doing this tournament. Let's see what else about the tournament.
What is the date on that?
Oh, that's what I was going to come up with. It's a Memorial Day weekend. So the end of May every year. So it's set in stone. Everybody in the state knows about it. Nobody schedules any tournaments during that day. That's the fun tournament that we put on, and everybody absolutely loves it. It's so much fun. It's a 3-day event. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we fish all 3 days, and we have a big awards thing afterwards. And it's so much fun. And usually the weather is pretty good. We've had a few years where we've had some rough weather. I remember years back, Banks Lake can get kind of rough and a few boats sinking. It was kind of I'll tell you a quick story. So the log boom that they have there at Cooley Playland, if people are familiar with it, it goes right now it covers the main part of the lagoon. It used to go a lot farther out, about another 100 feet out. And we would park our boats along the shoreline there. Well, one day a windstorm kicked up really quick and we didn't get to our boats in time, and the waves came over the back of it and they all sunk right there on the shoreline. So we're out there with 5-gallon buckets and we're out there bailing it, trying to get the boats floating again. And we got them all floating.
You see out of a cartoon, like.
Oh, it was, yeah. We were all out there. We had a whole bunch of us out there bailing boats out. Yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, we've had some fun times there. You know, my kids have grown up there. I've grown up there. I was just a kid when I started going there. I've been doing it for over 40 years myself. It's the reason why I've been as passionate about fishing as there is. It's just an absolute amazing event, and there's nothing like it in the United States that compares to it. So if anybody is in the fishing world, I recommend being a part of that tournament and just coming out and just having fun.
Memorial Day weekend, Banks
Memorial
Lake.
Day weekend, Banks Lake.
For those listening that are into fishing, where's the best fishing going on in the state right now, or what insider information? I know you have a lot of friends in a lot of places throughout the state.
Wow, you know, you guys are down there at the Tri-Cities, and man, that is just on fire down there. That is some of the best fishing we have is down in the Tri-Cities area. I mean, the bass fishing down there, you get largemouth, you get smallmouth, you can come in with a 20-pound bag of fish. I mean, that's 5 fish. We keep our 5 biggest fish. You can come in with 20 pounds and you know, you might not even make the top 10. I mean, it's really, really good fishing down in the river and all the way through the Columbia, all the way out to the mouth of it. I mean, you've got the Boardman area, the Hood River area, all the way through the Dalles. And yeah, it's an amazing fishery down there. The fishing on the Columbia, I highly recommend it. And we do have, anytime there's a professional tournament that comes up here, they typically will go to the river because the fishing is so much better there.
Well, Tony, I appreciate your time. Again, this is Tony Steiner, president of the Washington State Bass Federation. And if you want more information, again, their website is wabass.org. And they'll be in the Tri-Cities 2 times this year, including in June. So check it out on their website. Tony, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Yes, come out and visit us. We're happy to see you.
You're listening to 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. Now we go back to your originally scheduled Seattle sports programming.